Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Sue, late in his career, is going to have his first Super Bowl title. Now, no wonder they want to call it Tampa Bay. Or Tampa Brady. One more snap, would you have guessed when this impossible season was trying to launch that you'd get it all in, you'd get to Tampa, and when the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady.
I don't know why we ever think it won't.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title in franchise history.
And Tom Brady doesn't pass the torch quite yet to Mahomes, does he? Even though
you're looking at the greatest right there.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffauf. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, live here for episode 338 of the podcast. And I'm not alone. No, back with me in person here is my co-host, Justin Raffauf.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We were talking. It feels like it's been a long time, but yeah, it's good to be back. And man, I've been able to watch a bunch of sports. Well, today, I guess. so like it's been good. It's been good. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and we're ready to go as well. As tonight we're going to be continuing our trek through year 2 of our NCAA Football 14 Dynasty mode. Remember, we're playing with the Florida Atlantic Owls. Justin and I are co-coaching. And we're off to a pretty good start with this second season here. We are playing games 7 and 8 tonight, and Justin's going to kick off now against UAB. And the big thing here, Justin, what's happened when you were away over the last time we had this show 2 weeks ago.
So I hopped on just to see this at the end, and it was incredible. I was jumping up and down.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago when I played, both of them were low-scoring affairs. It was really tough for me to play the game and also talk about our predictions.
It's so hard. Like, it's not hard when someone's cueing the conversation, like rolling the conversation, and you're just like taking part in it. But like running the conversation was really difficult in the few minutes I had to do it. Not even a whole show.
Yeah, it was really tough to do. So I struggled at times to keep the conversation going, and but we got through it, and it ended up working in our favor. It was a very good evening because, well, we won both games. Low-scoring affairs. I didn't come through on offense during those 2 games. However,
there we go.
We came through on defense in a big way, which I hadn't done in a long time. So I don't even remember who the first team we played, one of the Conference USA teams, but then I got to go to Death Valley and play LSU, and, well, had a pretty good highlight at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. I was kind of following along.
I'm breaking stuff.
Yeah, just the wrong thing.
Please reconnect controller.
At least it's you, not me. So, it's been a few weeks, so I'm probably due to knock a bunch of things over tonight throughout the show, but nothing yet.
Give it time.
Yeah, exactly. So, that second game last show.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
You end up kicking a game-winning field goal again.
As time expires.
At LSU.
As time expires, like a 38-yarder, and they did something I've never seen before because I don't play with teams that don't usually have their coaches maxed up. My Penn State dynasties,
right.
Franklin and the staff have so many points that I don't have to worry about being frozen as a kicker, but I got this frozen kicking analog, and I didn't even know what to do. And
So what happened?
If you look at the video, you can see that it's the normal kicking thing that pops up,
Yeah.
but it's literally frozen in ice. Like,
Oh
you
my
can't see the power, the direction, or anything.
Oh, so you just have to kick.
So you just basically, now, I shouldn't say you can't see it. It's slightly transparent,
Right.
but it's hard to see.
Right.
So you're just kind of almost doing like muscle memory, like what usually works for you. And beat undefeated number 6 ranked LSU in Death Valley, and that got us ranked now. FAU's 5-1. We're 5-1 on the season, and we're ranked 21st in the nation. So, yeah, pretty good
And our
sophomore
loss came
season.
week 1 to Florida.
Yeah, and we were in that game too.
Yeah. So hopefully we can keep it going in the right direction tonight.
Yeah, so I didn't look ahead who we have after this UAB game. I just am hopeful that we can get 2 wins tonight and, inch closer to top 10 territory. I feel like we may have another big game on the schedule.
I feel like in the past we've always had one
Like Florida State or Auburn or someone
right,
maybe.
like late in the season.
Yeah, like
Which makes sense because lots of those teams schedule games like that late.
So I think we do have one more like big test. So we'll see if anything comes up. But yeah, it was a rough week for me offensively for those 2 games 2 weeks ago on episode 337. But we got it down. I mostly did the previews during the first game, which was the easier game, and I'm glad that it worked out that way because I needed all my focus on LSU.
Right.
Playing defense that I hadn't played, since early March when we first started this.
Right,
When we were kind of like flip-flopping back and forth before we settled in. But, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. It's nice being better and getting better at the game and recruiting our own guys and all that good stuff. So we'll see what happens here the second half of year 2. But big dreams and high hopes, so we'll see how it goes.
Right.
As we move on, we are going to be talking about the NFC school record for rushing touchdowns in a season. We're going to talk about just one division tonight, but it's a big one. It's the NFC East.
The most important.
Yes, the East divisions are most important,
Maybe
that's
not
for sure.
The best, but the most important.
And we're going to start with the NFC East, and we're going to just focus on all 4 of those teams all evening long. So I'm going to transition here to Justin for defense.
Nice drive, by the way.
Thank you. And then we're going to start talking about our NFC East division previews. So, like usual, we're going to start at the bottom with our expectations for number 4 in the division. So
We're going to rip this Band-Aid off, huh?
we're going to rip this one off quickly because, well, first of all, NFC East in general I think is interesting because I don't think any of these teams are awful, but I don't think any of these teams are very good.
Right, there's some potential with some of the teams, and then there's a couple teams I'd say that have a lot of actually, I would say 3 of the teams have huge unknowns in my opinion. So yeah, I guess we'll get to all of that as we go through the teams tonight.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think we're both thinking the same way with number 4, but
Yeah.
I don't see any of these teams as, just a few wins team. Like, I don't think any of these teams are like 1 to 4 win teams. I think they're all much better than that. I think they're all going to get at least a handful, and I think maybe even more.
Yes.
Nice, forcing the punt. Excellent. So, but I also think, as much as I think the floor for all the teams is 5 or 6 wins, I don't know that the ceiling's above 10 or 11 wins for any of the teams.
Yeah, see, we'll get there, but I think the top team could stretch that a bit, but I do think there are some glaring needs even on that top team, even though not necessarily what you're hearing from lots of other people right now. Nice.
So
So
we'll start at 4, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles.
okay.
Is that for you too?
It is for me.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't want you to be.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I would.
Giving me a triple deke or
And
something.
I think. Well, I'll let you.
No, you go right ahead. It's
So-
your team, and you're not playing at the moment.
So
So
the thing for the Eagles is if everything goes right, I could see them as a team that's pushing for the playoffs. Right now, there is a long list of unlikely things that would have to go right for that to happen. One of which would be. I say this unlikely. I don't mean like none of these things could happen, but I think all of these things would need to happen. You would need to see a lot of growth and progression from Jalen Hurts, and basically he needs to play in a way where they're not even really looking at quarterbacks next year, which I guess that's virtually impossible because they had a quarterback in how he drafted a guy.
yeah,
anyway.
it didn't seem
You know
to
what I
matter
mean?
last time.
He has to play in a way where only Howie would look at quarterbacks for next year's draft. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to be a top 5 guy, but he has to be the guy who they're going to say, all right, for the 2022 season, Jalen Hurts is our guy for that season. You know what I mean? Like,
You just want to see some progression.
yeah,
You want to see him getting
he
better.
plays in a way where you at least aren't closing that book on him yet, then okay. If he plays above that and you're like, oh man, I think we've really found something here, that's bonus, right? But you need solid quarterback play out of him. You need him to be healthy. You need him to help.
Oh, you
this
gotta
would
be
another
kidding me.
piece. You need him to. You need him to help with the progression of the young receivers, which would be the second thing I would say. You need the young receivers to really step up. You need Rager to progress. Rager's in a tough spot because he's not Justin Jefferson, but that doesn't mean he can't be really good. And I think he will be. I still think he will be good, but he needs the right system. I'm hopeful that a new offensive scheme will play to the strengths of the team a little bit more, which I also think is going to help Miles Sanders, which would be another piece. Devontae Smith, working him in appropriately. All kinds of things like that, right? So, Jalen Hurts being better or progressing, and then having the young wide receivers develop, and then Miles Sanders finding a role on an offense that has shown that they can and maybe more importantly will run the ball. There we go. Got it right back.
Good. Yeah, that's a good. It's a good move.
So I think those would be 3 key things. But then you get we're only partway through this list of things that have to go right for the Eagles, in my opinion, to be pushing. I think the ceiling I would put them in an ideal situation, I would put them at maybe 10 wins. Like a 10-win season would be. Basically, I put it this way: if they win 10 games, I feel like we should have a Coach of the Year candidate. All right, like because you need the offensive line to stay healthy and develop. That's only part of that can you control. Defense, you need to make some changes there. I don't know that they've got the guys to cover the guys in the division, which is going to be a problem because you play all those guys twice, let alone the other teams you play. So. I think there's a whole list of issues that are gonna come up, and it could be interesting because I don't know. Like I feel like there's a large portion of Philadelphia fans that kind of blame Carson Wentz
I just don't get that.
for the team being bad.
Good
Whereas I
blocking.
feel like that was a symptom, not the illness. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Carson Wentz being bad was an effect of the team being dysfunctional,
Right.
like not the other way around. And obviously, could he have handled the situation better? Yeah, probably. But so could the organization, right?
Right.
And honestly, yeah, like
So,
So that really frustrates me.
So I'm sure
But-
no Eagles fans need to be told that Peterson and Wentz are gone. That's for those of you that have been living under a rock over the last 6 months. The guys who led the Eagles to either such a great regular season or a Super Bowl championship just 3 years ago
Yeah.
are gone. And the other quarterback that led them to the actual Super Bowl title has been gone.
And also, did not shot down any attempt to
Yeah.
send him back.
He did not want to come back,
Right.
so.
Which I think gets overblown a little bit too, but I don't have a problem with that. I think he kind of sees what it is right now too. But
It was a tough year last year. What were they, 4-11-1?
it was awful. It was awful. And
So-
here's the thing, people are like, yeah, there was a spark when Jalen Hurts came in. I won't deny that. There was a bit of a spark. The team was still terrible. The team was terrible. I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good at times, but I feel like it was sort of similar to what we saw with Cobb years ago, where he was putting up numbers, but he was still turning the ball over and the team wasn't winning.
It was hard to tell because by the time he took over, the team was terrible. Everyone knew what was going on. Everybody knew what that was. So it was a really tough spot.
So, just continue to set new records.
Hey, keep it up. Keep it up. So
But
anyway,
4-11-1, sort of new quarterback, but not really.
right.
New coach, Nick Sirianni, did we say that?
Yeah.
He's the new guy. He's been taking over. Oh, these are two of the teams that are undefeated in conference play. So this is a big game. North Texas is undefeated, 7-0.
Yeah, but they didn't go into Death Valley and snatch a
They
win.
did not. They did not. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Eagles, because obviously most of our listener base here is very interested in what happens with Philadelphia, as is host and part of your family and most of our friends but honestly, and I know you want to be a good team, but at times as a fan, most of the time I want to be the underdog. I want to have no expectations, because then when you blow it out of the water in a good way, you're surprised and happy.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into the season thinking that the team's going to be 13-4 and they go 7-10.
That's the worst. Yes. So along those lines, I believe the Eagles have the easiest, if not one of the easiest, on paper. We know what that is, but schedules in football for this coming year, because they were bad last year, right? And a lot of teams they play. Now, that's not to say we looked at it. They have a couple of tough stretches, but as of right now, they're only favored in 2 of those games.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There's some roster turnover besides the trade of Carson Wentz. Gone are Corey Clement, Vinny Curry, Nate Jerry, Jalen Mills, Jason Peters.
Come on.
And I don't know, their biggest signing, probably Anthony Harris. Was that a big get at safety from the Vikings?
Yeah, I like that one.
I mean, Joe Flacco. Got Joe Flacco, so that's a good one.
Yeah,
Both Jordan Howard is back with the Eagles, and Kerryon Johnson signed from Detroit. Maybe Ryan Kerrigan too from Washington. He's a nice pass rusher. I mean, still, past his prime, but he still demands some name recognition. But Deshaun Jackson's also gone. Alshon Jeffrey. So there's some decent names that have departed. But I don't know how much of an issue the Eagles are going to have without most of those guys. Because you already knew that Wentz was done, so it didn't really make much of a difference that you're going with Hurts. You had already started that transition. I'm interested to see what happens in the backfield, and if Sirianni relies more on the running game than what Peterson kind of started to get away from for whatever reason.
Pearson went down the Andy Reid like rabbit hole there. Like, it's interesting because should I use a timeout to try and ice their kicker?
Yeah, why not? We have them. Why not use them? But like with a backfield featuring Miles Sanders and now Kerryon Johnson, and who knows if Jordan Howard has anything left in the tank, but they've always had Boston Scott as a relief guy. You drafted Kenneth Gainwell, which a lot of people thought was one of the better picks, and at least from an upside, that was a great pick from them. You have a quarterback that is able to run. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but you need development from Rager. Devontae Smith needs to have a great year, and then someone else has to step up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. A lot of people still think Earth is on his way out. That's just kind of.
Are they going to cut him? Like, what's going to happen?
So here's the thing, though. Like, why would you cut him now? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, he's like veteran enough. Like, at some point, you're going to have like paid him. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to get? Like, who are you going to sign with that money? Is what I'm trying. Like the league year started, so like they
post June 1st or whatever.
Right. So it's not like you had to hit your cap numbers and stuff already. So like I don't understand. Very nice.
Makes up for that stupid interception I threw. He's 0 for 1 with 1 pick.
But yeah, so like,
I mean,
honestly, I think. Well, I don't know what to think so much with the win-loss. I want it to be higher, but if I have to pick, I'm probably going to put them at like 6 wins.
6-11?
Yeah.
I mean, they have a nice young receiver core, but they just need to see progression and development, and they need a breakout year. They need Devontae Smith playing at like a top 3 Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yes!
Nice! Look at that.
Excellent. That helped make up for the giving up the field goal before half. That was frustrating me.
Let's see if I can capitalize right away.
I don't think I had given up a first down before.
Yeah, you hadn't. So I have that Microsoft Game Pass that Patrick's always talking about, and I downloaded MLB The Show. First time it's been on Xbox, or first time at least in a long time it's been on Xbox, and also last year's Madden.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if I'm gonna get this year's Madden, like I might as well figure out like what's going on, because I haven't played Madden in years, and they have this. Cool, like it's called The Yard, and is it 5-on-5 or 6-on-6? But it's kind of like backyard football, but it's your created player or your created persona, and then 5 NFL guys, and you play both ways. So like you have cornerbacks playing receivers and tight ends playing linebacker and stuff like that. It's been really fun, but I'm wondering if Madden controls is going to screw up me playing this, because I'm playing up there on Rookie or whatever their lowest is, because I haven't played it in how long. But at least we started with UAB and a bit of a gimme. But anyways, let's wrap up the Eagles talk here.
Yeah, so I'm going to put them at 6-11. I think there is some upside. And I'm hoping that, obviously I'd like for them to be able to check the list on all those things I listed and be pushing 10 wins and maybe looking at one of the wild card spots or something. I'm not banking on it. And at the same time, I think I want to see some of those things, get checked off. And if I had to pick, I would pick the things I want to see Hurts develop, and I want to see Hurts develop, and I want to see the receivers develop. Because those are things that you can build on moving forward. But we'll see, I guess.
And maybe it sounds crazy to people, and you can tell me because you're the Eagles guy anyways, but honestly, I feel like I have less concerns about the Eagles' offense than I do about their defense.
Oh, so here's the thing. I would say I have concerns about... Let me phrase that. I have more questions about the Eagles' offense. Because I'm not questioning. I just know the Eagles' defense isn't going to be very good.
I don't expect the Eagles' defense to be good at all.
No,
I think they're going to be very, very bad.
Right.
Which is a shame because they still have nice pieces along the defensive line.
I took some solace in the fact that the new defensive coordinator has said, like, they were asking him, like, what's your plan? And he's like, well, we look at what we've got and who we're playing against and all this stuff, and kind of like try to play to our strengths each week.
Yeah.
Sounds reasonable, but that's not what they did before. Like last season and for the last 2 years, like they played this is what we do, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like I know it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same thing, but it reminded me of like those. I remember it with Seattle when like Richard Sherman. I feel like, but he's not the only one. He's just the one I remember. Where like, no, he stays on this side of the field.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand. Like, that's maybe a bad example because they were good enough to do that. You know what I mean? Like they were like, no, their defense dictated things. The Eagles' defense was not good enough to dictate things. Oh my gosh. But we still like went with that philosophy. So I'm hopeful that like the idea of adapting and trying to like play to your strengths and your players' strengths will maybe help, but I'm not holding out a ton.
You're not holding out too much hope.
I don't know what they're gonna do here real quick. They'll probably punt now. Nope, going for it.
They're going for it. All right, so you say 6-11. I'm gonna be right there with you, just because I think they'll be better than last year. Just kind of random, like not even for sure a reason why. I think they were better than 4-11-1. I just think there was a lot of other extenuating circumstances going on. The weird stuff with the quarterbacks, undermining between the coaching staff and the players, or the front office and the organization as a whole. I just think it was tumultuous. I think now they're going in. They know what's going on. They have new coaching staffs. Sirianni is like coming in and taking the bull by its horns and has everyone ready to go. The defense concerns me. Like you said, I think if things break the right way and there's some development, I could see them winning 10 games.
Yeah.
I think their floor is probably around 4 or 5, but I'm going to put them at 6. I'm going to say 6-11,
right.
Still in 4th place in the division, but yeah, I wasn't batting that down. So that's where we have the Eagles, both in 4th place. Now let's see if there's any difference in who we have in 3rd place. I'll start since you're on defense.
Okay.
I'm going to put in 3rd place. Oh, man, this is tough.
Yes, this is tough.
Whew.
I know who I want to put in there, but I don't.
Well, I know you want Dallas to go there.
Well, no, I want Dallas to.
You want
drop
Dallas
out
in
of the
4th
league.
place, but
So. I'll give you some more time to think.
Yeah.
Well, I assume it's 4th and 16. I assume they're going to kick this time. Let me see what.
Yeah, let's see what they shot out.
That's what happened there.
Yeah, they're
Punt formation.
So they converted the 4th down and then still have to punt.
So, part of me thinks I should put the Giants here, but I think I'm going to put Washington here.
Okay.
I know they won the division last year. They are the returning division champs. They had some weird quarterback issues last year, and everyone thinks they kind of maybe settle that down with journeyman Fitzpatrick. He did great things with Miami the last couple of seasons. But I don't know. I'm just not excited by the rest of their team, I guess. I like Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson. Those are some nice young pieces. But they don't instill much confidence in me. And we know Fitzpatrick is boom or bust. And he'll win them a few games, but he could lose them a few games too. And I just, as much as I like Ron Rivera and it pains me to put them in 3rd, I'd rather have them up in 1st or 2nd just because I like Ron so much.
Right.
I don't know. I have just one of those feelings that Washington is not going to be able to duplicate their, if you want to call it, success from last year, despite the NFC East being, a bit of a dumpster fire. for something is just telling me that it's not going to be Washington's year. They're going to, maybe have a few fluke losses or some issues going on. We know they always have stuff going on off the field. They just
have Ryan Kerrigan anymore.
They don't have Ryan Kerrigan anymore, but they always have stuff going on off the field that maybe it does or doesn't impact what's going on the field, but it's always out there, for better or worse. Like, we just had it come out that they're. I was just going to say that they just have this weird ownership stuff going on, and is Roger Goodell saying whether or not Snyder can be in charge or whatever, and now
Is it weird that he named his wife the CEO of the team?
I don't know, is it? I feel like that's very billionaire type thing to do.
I feel like in any other spot that would kind of seem odd to me, but right on par for Washington.
But we found out now that in the first couple months of 2022, we're going to get the new team name and logo. That's finally happening. I guess they're not doing football team, which I know there's a lot of people that like it. I don't. I don't like it. Don't be European soccer or whatever. No. You be you. You have a team name. You have a logo. You have a proper, whatever character you end up choosing to represent your squad. I have always been on record of wanting the Red Tails. I think it's perfect, but who knows? Dan Snyder and that ownership group and everything going down in Washington, who the heck knows what they'll come up with. I hope it doesn't suck, but I feel like the track record says otherwise. But all that stuff going on, do the players care? I don't know. Maybe they don't. But we've kind of gotten into that generation that started about 15 or so years ago that, look good, play good. Everyone was raving about everything Oregon was doing, and all the recruits started putting Oregon, in their top 5, top 10 without ever visiting. They just liked all the swagger they had from uniforms, and now you have a team that is the plainest, most blah, and has no mascot. So, does it bother the players? Probably not as much as a college team, but it's just one of those things that's out there, and I just have the feeling like I did for so many years about the Saints, which I was always wrong, so Washington fans should be happy about that. So that's what I'm thinking. Washington, I think I'll put them at 7-10. I don't have the info in front of me for all the changes. The biggest one that I could think of was the Fitzpatrick thing. But yeah, like I said, it pains me to say that about a Ron Rivera team because I like him so much. But for something just telling me that it's not going to be Washington making noise in the East, it's going to be the other two teams that are left. So
I'm I was debating back and forth between these same two, and I think. So I feel like Washington has a chance to be a more solid team. I think the Giants definitely have more unknowns to me. I'm going to go with the Giants here in third place. I just think there are a lot of unknowns, and I'm kind of the mindset of I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. I know they've got talent everywhere. They've got tons of talent. They should be really good. But I also know that some of the pieces that they have valued really high over the last few years aren't necessarily that good.
Right.
So we'll have to see. But I just think I don't know. I don't. Daniel Jones can be really good. He could be the second best quarterback in the division, maybe. He could be the worst. It depends on what you're going to see.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see. They've got some talent at wide receiver, but inconsistent. They got Saquon back.
Maybe that's why I'm hoping Saquon has a big year.
Yeah, I'm hoping he has a good year, but I still want him to be bad. But I think if everything clicks for them, they could be really good. I kind of hope they are bad, somewhat because of just how how ridiculous they got over the end of the season with the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you won 6 games. Don't be complaining that the Eagles didn't help you make the playoffs. You know, like, do your job. Like, you won. You know, you were a terrible football team. So don't be mad at the Eagles. You can be like, I can understand being disappointed and everything, but like, it's not like they deserve to make the playoffs.
Right.
But anyway, so I like, part of me doesn't like the Giants for that reason. I just think like they've been so many questions so long. I honestly didn't see that receiver there. I thought the guy was just running for the ball.
Aaron Barron.
Why would you name your kid Aaron? So yeah, I'm gonna put the Giants at like, I think they'll be at like 8 wins, with the potential for more. But I'm not, like, I think there's lots of talent there. I know their defense has big question marks. Like, not necessarily against bad teams. Like, their defense will be okay against bad teams, but against the good teams, they're going to pick their defense apart still. They don't have the guys they need to put a pass rush together, or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
their defense scares no one.
Not to spoil our number ones, but is Washington your number 2?
Washington is my number 2.
Okay, so
I just, while I agree with everything you said about them, I'm going with I think
good Fitzmagic.
Well, I think good enough Fitzmagic, and not dealing with the Dwayne Haskins stuff at the beginning of the year.
Gets him a couple wins.
Right, so like, if Fitzmagic is maybe plus 1.5 wins, and not dealing with Dwayne Haskins.
You're going to get that wabbit.
Not dealing with Dwayne Haskins, maybe is another win. So I don't know that they're 2.5 wins better than last year, but I think they're pretty
Nice.
good. Like, and I think they're good enough there. I think they're going to be competing for a playoff spot.
So
Not necessarily the division title, but the.
So you had the Eagles at 6-11. What did you have the Giants at? 8?
I'm going to put them at 8 wins.
8 and 9.
Yeah.
And what do you have Washington at?
Put them at 9 and 8.
9 and 8. So I had Washington in 3rd. They were 7 and 9 last year. I had the Eagles at 6 and 11. So I think I said, if I didn't, I meant to say 7 and 10. So almost identical to last year, just one more loss because of the extra game. So Washington is attempting to make the playoffs in back-to-back years for the first time since 91-92. They haven't made the playoffs 2 years in a row for 30 years, essentially, which is kind of crazy to think about. They're also the first team since the 95 Buccaneers to play 5 straight divisional games to end the season.
Wow.
Which is one thing I did want to talk about.
I was going to say, the Eagles have something similar. Like, I think it's 4, though. But like,
right. The Washington football team ends with Dallas at Philly at Dallas, Philly at the Giants. So they played Dallas and Philly twice in a month. Like, they only played Dallas and Philly from December 12th to January 2nd. So the NFC East will not be decided until the end of the year, I would think.
Okay, quick side note. I am so angry. They didn't take their time out, and no time ran off the clock. Even though they had to set the chains, right? But they went 3 yards to set the chains. That frustrates me.
And he adds the extra point.
So it's an interesting about the NFC East, but I definitely like it that way. I want to see the divisions decided at the end of the year. So good luck to Ron Rivera. Well, from me, I know you like him too, but as an Eagles fan, it's tough.
Yeah, like I like Ron Rivera. It's weird to me that Washington has become like this kind of, I don't want to say likable. I'm certainly not rooting for them, but like with Ron Rivera and especially his story last year and all of that stuff, like, it's just, I'm happy for him even though my team was terrible.
So I have the Giants in 2nd. I'm gonna say. So they went 6 and 10 last year. I'm gonna say
advance week here, right?
Yes, you can advance it. I'm gonna say 9 and 8 for the Giants.
Okay.
In 2nd place.
So we have our records pretty much the same.
Pretty similar.
Pretty much. Gotcha.
They brought in, a couple interesting guys. John Ross, who never could stay healthy with Cincinnati on a 1-year deal, but he's had some speed. Obviously, the big one was Kenny Galladay from the Lions on a 4-year deal. Adoree Jackson from Tennessee, the slash playmaker. Ryan Anderson from Washington. Kyle Rudolph from Minnesota. Danny Shelton from the Lions.
Right.
Corey Clement from the Eagles. Kelvin Benjamin, who I'm not even sure played in the last few years, but he was always a big body. Couldn't live up to his draft status. But then they also
Literal
drafted
big body,
Kadarius Toney.
Right.
So
Right.
they redid their wide receiver core, and they got one of the steals of the draft with edge rusher from Georgia, Azeez Ojulari,
Yes.
with the 50th overall pick. So I think they had a really good offseason. They're obviously sticking with Daniel Jones when you sign Mike Glennon and Clayton Thorson.
Oh,
You got to
yeah,
hope
add Saquon back this year because he was out pretty much the entire year
almost the
last
entire year. So they brought in Corey Clement and Devontae Booker to kind of help the backfield, but Saquon, he's not committing to being ready week 1, but I think the hope and expectation is for him to be back and ready week 1. But if they can get a good group of tight ends with Evan Ingram and Levine Toilolo with Kyle Rudolph now. They have all those receivers. They got to figure out who's reliable because they added They added Kelvin Benjamin, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, and John Ross to a group that already had Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, Austin Mack and Dante Pettis. So they got to figure out who their top 5 or 6 are there, and I think they have something. Now, the offensive line has always been in transition, it seemed, but they've drafted Andrew Thomas, is going into his 2nd year now.
Oh,
Nate Solder
this is a big
returns.
game. Sorry.
What did you do?
This is a big game.
Oh, nice.
You ready for me to
Okay.
start?
Yeah, we'll do recruiting afterwards, so go ahead and move that one over. If their defense can get things going in the right direction, they just re-signed Austin Johnson. They brought in Danny Shelton. They got Leonard Williams back. If their defense can hold, then I think the Giants are the second best team in the NFC East. Of course, it all comes down to quarterback, though.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones better than Jalen Hurts and Ryan Fitzpatrick? That's what he's got to take a step this year, or the Giants are going to be moving on, I think. Like, if they're awful this year, the Daniel Jones experiment is over.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
So that's where I'm at with them. Looking at the end of the year for them, they host the Eagles in Week 12. They go to Miami in Week 13. They go to the Chargers in Week 14. Then they host Dallas December 19th. Ooh, so Dallas, New York on my dad's birthday. Then they go to Philadelphia the day after Christmas, at Chicago January 2nd, and then host Washington January 9th. So that is the New York Giants. But we are at our number 1 in the NFC East, and that is the Dallas Cowboys for both of us.
Do we want to kick off?
I would rather kick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always like to kick. So
Both teams are lining up for the kickoff.
Dallas had a rough year last year, to put it lightly. They were 6-10. They missed out on the playoffs for the 2nd straight year, which is a little bit of a surprise with what they had building down there with Dak and Zeke and that offensive line. They just haven't been able to put it together. But I think a lot are expecting a bounce-back year because of what happened when their quarterback went down. Your quarterback's coming back, especially someone who was playing like the way Dak was. And if they're able to get him some help and have a better defense, which has really been more of a problem than the offense, then I think Dallas is easily the best team in the NFC East. But it all comes down to the defense and Dak being healthy and ready to roll.
Yeah, the defense definitely is their biggest question mark. They had huge questions there last year. Defense started to play better late in the season, but the offense fell apart without Dak. Like, not all at once, but they definitely did. But the thing is, the thing I don't understand is, like, it shouldn't have. Like, I understand Dak is really good, but you went out and got Andy Dalton as your guy, who shouldn't have been terrible. But they asked him to do things that, like, man, the coaching was not ideal last year for them. And then you go and you have some offensive line issues, but like you have Zeke back there. Like, why are you not running the ball? I just didn't understand. They did nothing to help themselves.
Right.
Which was really, really weird.
It'll be interesting to see if Mike McCarthy can get this group of guys going here in year 2.
They don't make the playoffs. He's got to be fired, right?
I would think so. If they don't, or if they don't show, getting better. See, the thing to me, without knowing the entire depth chart, too deep, I don't feel like they lost all that much from last year. Now, especially defensively, I'm not sure.
Right.
Their biggest signings maybe were both safeties from the Falcons, Kazee and Neal, both coming over from Atlanta. So they're obviously trying to make.
Wasn't Dan Quinn the defensive coordinator now too?
Yes. Honestly, I don't know.
From the 15-yard line, it's second down.
I think Quinn.
Yes,
is
Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator there. So, and Kellen Moore is still the offensive coordinator. So, they just looking at their
Catch the ball.
just looking at their roster though, like you just said, like with that line and Elliott, it doesn't matter who the quarterback back there was, or if the team's defensive puts 8 in the box. Who cares?
Right,
Run the ball.
They come out in an empty backfield.
With Zeke and Pollard back there, you shouldn't have a problem, and they did.
Let's it go. Incomplete pass.
That's right. You see that? He caught it, but knocked him out of bounds.
Nice. So, Jason's sending us a message while I'm playing, while we're playing. But at receiver, Amari Cooper seems to have a really good relationship with Dak. Michael Gallup is a great number 3 when you added CeeDee Lamb in last year. Like, they have those 3 guys. And with Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin, and Jeremy Sprinkle now at tight end, like, they should be okay on offense. That either we've been overrating the offensive line, or Kellen Moore's go-round as the offensive coordinator wasn't working out. I don't know. However you want to slice it, they obviously underachieved last year, and it wasn't just because Dak wasn't there.
Right, because they were putting up huge offensive numbers, but were a terrible team before Dak got hurt. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, expectations are through the roof for them. Like, I'm seeing people say, they're the team that's going to challenge the Buccaneers in the NFC, and they're the only team that can do it.
I'm not ready to say that.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think the Rams are going to be pretty darn good.
I do like the Rams, yeah.
So we didn't say it, but we moved up to 20th, and we're playing number 18 FAU.
Right. So I just think, there's a lot of expectations in Dallas, but I don't necessarily view them as all that different than last year. It'll be interesting. The new coach will have the full off season. They'll do all those things. I say full off season, but Dak is working back. So it's still a different off season. But they are by far, in terms of expectations, the best team in the NFC East.
For at least the 3rd straight year. That's the thing. They haven't gotten anything out of it.
No, they haven't.
And maybe even longer. Honestly, for now, 4, maybe 5 years? Well, I guess you throw in the Eagles coming off a Super Bowl championship, the expectations may have been different.
Right.
But, Dallas, I feel like for the last 5 years, most of the time, everyone's thinking that they're easily a playoff team.
Right. It's one of those things where every year everybody's telling us they're the Miami of college football, but they're in the pros. Every year we spend the offseason listening to everybody tell us how good they're going to be, and then they're good, but they're not championship caliber each year. You know what I mean? Every time. And
First down.
I think some of the things will get better on defense, but some of it is going to be players, and you hear that a lot in the NFL. It's not just scheme. You need the players in order to make it happen. And I don't know, I know Dan Quinn got it done on defense in
Seattle,
but when I think of the strengths of the Atlanta teams, I don't think they're secondary. I know at times they were good.
Well, Legion of Boom, right? That was him, wasn't it?
Well, absolutely. But in Atlanta, in Atlanta,
Oh, in Atlanta.
I don't view them as having their strengths.
Short game there by the
you know, that can lead to a whole different discussion. When you look at those Seattle teams, are you like, all right, well, they ended up with great guys and great scheme, which that is what it was. You know, it's both. But then,
That was a passing touchdown.
but you know, you look at it when he didn't have those like Hall of Famers across the back,
Right.
or all pro guys with a couple Hall of Famers sprinkled in.
And a touchdown as a result.
His defenses were average, right? Which,
The kicker looks like he's ready to
you know,
kick this one.
They
now-
need to see
now,
some.
he's not the GM. He's not necessarily picking his guys, you know.
Plenty of distance.
So, but Dallas certainly hasn't emphasized in the backfield part, and that was a big problem for them a lot. Oh, thank goodness he fell.
26.
Right, that's the thing. Like, is their defense going to be any good? That's what it amounts to. And that now Sean Lee has been injured so much recently. His retirement isn't a huge deal, though.
Right, but
him becoming a coach, like they had talked about, could be a big deal.
Does it not seem like that era of Jalen Smith being back and healthy and Van Der Esch being the other guy?
Yeah.
Like when they first started breaking through, mostly due to injuries to Lee, you're like, oh man, these guys are the next linebacking duo, right? Like these guys.
Van Der
That
Esch,
era
Smith,
seemed like
Lee.
over like that.
Yeah, well, they traded one Penn State linebacker for another, drafting Micah Parsons with the 12th overall pick. Already got my dad a new jersey, replacing the
Why are
Sean Lee
you the way that
one
you
we
are?
got a decade ago with the Micah Parsons one for Father's Day. So he's ready to roll. But as much as they need him to be, you know, a beast off the edge and play good at the linebacker spot, they need their cornerback picks to do something. Not just Kelvin Joseph, who they took out of Kentucky in the second round this year. They need last year's pick, Trevon Diggs, to be able to do something to make some noise. They have to be able to rely on him as well. And I mentioned that they brought in the Atlanta safeties and Kazee.
We've given
And,
up 98 yards on two passes like that guy.
and Keanu Neal, but they got to figure it out. They have to. Dan Quinn's got to. If he has magic, he's got to work it because they need to get better performance if they want to be a team to beat in the NFC, let alone the NFC East. So I still think they're the best team on paper. I think they're the best offense. I think they have a lot of potential. That's just where I sit. I still, you know, even saying what I went 6-11, 7-10, 9-8. I think Dallas is a 10-17. I think that's where I'm going to put them.
I'm going to put him. Yeah. I feel like I want to put him at 12 wins, but in reality, I'm going to put him at 11. You know what? I'll put him at 12. I'm going to put him at 12 wins.
12-5.
Yeah, I'm going to put them at 12-5 just because I'm like, that's where they should be. I hope they don't get there. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they go 5-12. But like, yeah, I'm going to put them at 12-5 because on paper they're the best team. They've got the best quarterback. I don't know what more you could ask for right now. In today's NFL, you've got the most talent and the best quarterback.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they should be, honestly, they should be an 11, 12, 13 win team. I need to see it from the defense. That's what I need to see. I have to see from the defense. Just like the Eagles, though.
I want them. Here's the thing. I want them to lose every game, but I don't. Right? Because I don't want them having the number one overall pick. So, like, if they could go 7-10, that would be great.
They wouldn't let me audible. I don't know what that was about.
So, if they went 7-10, that would be awesome. But in reality, like, if they finished second in the NFC and lost that game because they don't have a bye, that would be awesome. Like, lose the first playoff game, you know, first round playoff game where they're a big favorite or something. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
It's 1st and 10.
If them making the playoffs is the necessary evil, then them losing in the first round of the playoffs, I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
He steps out at the 28-yard line.
This receiving core runs some great routes. And that
So some of the biggest storylines surrounding the NFC East are injuries and return from injuries.
Yeah.
Do you think Dak and Saquon start week 1?
I think Saquon does. I think Dak does too.
Oh, he's not down.
Thank goodness he didn't fumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they both do. I think they both do. Let me look here.
Second down, and they're going to need about 3
What is their schedule like? What's the last 5 weeks?
Is it right here on this site?
Should be on the article I had pulled up.
Okay, so
Oh, jeez, he got stood up in the hole there.
the last 5 weeks, they're at Washington, at New York, home against Washington, home against the Cardinals, and then at Philadelphia.
Lots of NFC East games and against the Cardinals team that we think could be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
They also, when we talked about it before, they also play.
To get to first, but the defense collapsed on him before he could get there.
They start at the Bucks. That's a big game on that Thursday night, I think.
I just went for it on 4th and 2.
That's all right because he ran for like 15. That 15-yard play call on 4th and 2 is so solid.
Brilliant, right? That was nice.
Play is number 8 on the drive.
So, just to recap, we both have the Eagles
They've got
in
a tough
last.
schedule here, which I like to see. But they start at Tampa and then at LA. So going, I know they're
boy.
in Dallas. So sorry, they're playing the Chargers. I should have been specific.
Oh, okay.
But still, the
But
Chargers
yeah,
are no
we
joke.
think the Chargers could be good
Right.
this year.
And now they've got the extended week there because they're playing on that Thursday.
Oh, right.
But going east and then going west, and then they're home 3 weeks in a row. But then they go to the Patriots, who we'll get to that eventually. But that could be interesting.
I know you don't want it to happen, but honestly, I'd love to see Dallas beat Tampa Bay that opening night, just like to stop the Tom Brady love fest.
Except here's what would happen, and we all know it. Immediately, everyone's just going to be like, including me, will be like, yep, regular season doesn't matter, just like last year. Like,
Yeah.
let's see.
These guys came up with a touchdown on their last drive, and they'll be hoping for another 6 on the board.
I'm surprised we
I know
haven't
this sounds
heard-
crazy, but I'm going with cover 4 here, just like because our guys deep aren't fast enough to
Yeah, they're not
get
able to stop
over
that guy.
on the field.
Hey, I'll take the checkdowns all day long.
Makes you feel pretty good.
I love when they're along the side because then I can really kind of hit them hard.
And that's because the defense was just waiting on it and they attacked.
So that is our NFC East preview. I'd love to hear what you all are thinking out there. I'm surprised we haven't heard from anyone, especially my dad. I know he's watching. He said he was having some problems with his computer. I'm surprised he hasn't texted. Oh, no, he did. His first text. My picks are the same as yours. I assume he means me. He has Dallas, New York, Washington, Philadelphia. Yeah, so that's how I had it. So he agrees with me. We're very similar again. Going into last year, my dad wasn't a big Dak guy, but then I think he saw how he played the first 3.5, 4 weeks, and then 2, how they played without him the rest of the year.
Right.
That I think my dad's excited for Dak to be back this year.
Oh, I understand that. Oh, crap.
So,
He wants it all.
man, dude, that guy
They
is
just run by our guys.
XX is he's a player, huh? He's a player.
Trying to go up by 3. They'll kick the extra point.
I'm picking like the deep coverages,
And he adds the extra point.
and they're just running.
Last play, 74-yard drive.
It'll be interesting to see Dallas and Micah Parsons on Hard Knocks. Dallas, first team to be on three versions of the show, 3 seasons.
Yeah, I said NFL's got to be pumped about that. Just it makes for good TV, I'm sure. So
My dad sent me thumbs up. I'm assuming that's about Dak being back and he's happy. So.
yeah, I mean, and I would be too. He's good.
Leadership. I'd be very surprised if he didn't continue to play well.
Everyone's
we'll
all
see.
lined up and ready for the kickoff.
It's so frustrating that the Eagles
sneak
dismantled their
Wow, the offenses are winning today.
their
Each
recipe
coordinator
for
is
success.
being
Well, the
beaten
recipe
as
for
they're coming
success
away with
was they got a bunch of
points
free
virtually on every
agents
drive.
and they caught lightning in a bottle. but they also got what they needed from all their other guys that contributed.
My dad also says fire the defensive coordinator. Not for Dallas.
Oh, wow.
He's talking about
Yes.
for FAU. Oh, my 99 overall tight end just pushed the defender right into my gap. Thank you for that.
Second down and 9 to go. Ball on the 23.
Yeah, so we'll see. Man.
Dude,
it's
make
gonna be
the
crazy
cut.
because, like, now you said you want Dallas to win week 1, or wouldn't mind seeing.
I wouldn't
week
mind
1.
seeing it happen. Yeah.
Nope, I'm on. Let's go, Tom. Win that one, Tom. Let's keep it rolling. See, I'm at that point where Tom Brady wins.
The 42-yard line.
Whatever.
What does it matter?
Right. I just want them. I want the Tom Brady wins to help my team as much as possible. So
Right.
if he's beating the teams in my
On their
division,
own
so be it.
42-yard line. First down.
It is what it is, right?
Right. All right. So just kind of like going back to this, like,
Incomplete.
what
That
do you
closed
think?
quickly.
What do you think would be reasonable expectations for Devontae Smith this year? Like separate from the team, just like in general, like what do you think would be
Reasonable.
for him? Does his size scare you? I know that's a different question.
5 receivers.
It probably should, but it doesn't. Well, that's not true because when I, was going back and forth of what Dolphins, what receiver I want the Dolphins to get, he was my third choice.
Right.
Just because his size does scare me, and I know like people probably said the same thing about him going to play in college, but there's just something about it that.
Quick throw. And he's tackled at the 7-yard line.
This guy's
Whew.
so versatile. You can use him at the
Now.
line as an extra blocker or send him downfield like
Do I
another
kick the
wide
field goal, or do I-
Well, you don't have
He's
really
a
the
great
time, do you?
resource on every down.
Oh, I thought I had a timeout. Well, that sucks. Because I had to take that timeout earlier because the game glitched. Well, that's even
Two
worse.
quarters. Louisiana Tech
All right,
leads
so
it
we're setting up the comeback here.
17-14.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That makes me so mad. I thought I had a timeout.
He sends this one deep.
But yes, Devontae Smith's size does bother me some.
He's hit and got away.
I don't know if he can hold up over the course of the entire season without getting hurt.
So here's my other part to that question on the other side of that is
They're still
I don't know that the Eagles are good enough to tell if he's any good.
So, I guess I'd be looking for. I'd like to see him get to like 50 receptions this season, because that's what about 3 a game if he plays all 17.
Yeah.
That's right around 3 a game. I think that some games maybe he can get to 5 or 6. Others he might have none or 1 or 2. But that's what I'd like to see. Is I'd like to see him get to about 50 catches.
Second down, 8 yards. Ball
Um,
on the 19-yard line.
And I mean, really, because of what they expect from him, you got to be thinking that he would have pretty many receiving yards then if he gets 50 catches, because he's not going to be a guy that's running, 6 to 12 yards all the time.
Right.
He's going to get some bigger opportunities. So if he's making 50 catches, honestly, he should be he should be close to, if not over 1,000 yards. So I don't know, maybe I'm way too high on these projections. Maybe I should be thinking more like 35 to 45 catches, not 50 plus.
See,
but,
I'm looking. I'm like, I want him closer to that like 65 number.
right, but
I want him closer to that
From their
4
own
catches a
30-yard
game.
line.
but you have Rager too. Like, you
No, I
can't
agree.
just
I
forget
agree.
about him.
Right. But like, if you look, you've got Rager and him and Sanders. I just don't know.
Honestly,
I don't know where the touches are going.
I'd be more interested in how many carries Miles Sanders gets.
Yeah.
Or whoever, whether they split it and it's
Right.
Miles Sanders and Gainwell or whatever, whoever ends, or Kerryon Johnson, like whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because they'll be giving it to whoever.
Gets
But like,
out quickly. And they make the stop
Yeah,
around the
interesting.
48-yard line.
I mean, I'm hopeful. Like, it sounds crazy, but like,
First and 10.
I just want to see them moving in the right direction.
Right.
Like building, because they have the potential for 3 first-round picks next year. So, like, it would be nice, like, if you could get into a spot where you're like, all right, we can add
Like, honestly, if they would be
2 solid pieces, you know, through that.
if they get to 8 or 9 wins, and then you have 3 first-rounders coming next year,
Right.
there's a lot of
Right,
hope
like-
and opportunity there.
Right, look at that. Like that would be incredible.
Tackle right around the 30.
Like, you know, we talk about, like, oh, the defense scares you, but, like, you could take 2 defenders and an offensive lineman, and you took an offensive lineman early in the second round this year. Like, you know, you could in theory have a good young core between this year and next year, but you need to figure a lot out this year. Like,
It all comes down to Hurts. Like,
well, yeah, basically you need to decide, are we going to just, like, keep kind of, like, adding pieces on here and do, like, a major renovation, or are we going to tear this thing down to the foundation and start over? You know, that's what this year's about for the Eagles, figuring out which of those you're going to do, in my opinion.
yep.
Right. Are we just doing a major remodel, or are we knocking the house down and building from scratch?
Shoot.
Which 3 first-round picks could be helpful if you're going that route too. So
He's looking up. He's got a couple defensive linemen.
Did my running back get hurt?
Because
I
they
think
were
he
able
did.
to slip off of their blocks. Really, there's nothing
Great.
he could do at all there. That was more of a
It was a great game,
miscommunication.
wonderful. Everything's going.
Oh, no, there he is. Well, if he was hurt, he's back.
Gets it. He's in space. Tackle made.
all right, so this is off topic. So if you want to come back to anything football,
No, that was pretty much it. You know, we were going to talk a little bit more about the Eagles at the beginning and bring it around to them at the end, but I think we covered everything we needed to, unless anyone has a comment or a text to say otherwise. But if you want to talk NBA or MLB,
so
whatever.
I'm going way off here.
Oh, you're going way off.
Yeah. All right. I know you didn't watch the Euro final today.
No.
However,
How do you end that in penalty kicks? Come
that
on.
was what I was going to say. What are your thoughts on ending a major championship? So, like, in soccer,
Basically, what
the
soccer
ma-
does
right? The
is
major
essentially
championships are like these Euro Cups or the Gold Cup or Copa America,
World Cup,
like all
Olympics.
those type of things. Yes.
which wasn't the 22-year anniversary of Brandy Chastain. Just
Yes.
that
Yeah,
was penalty
yeah.
kicks.
So, like, what are your thoughts on the whole ending penalty kicks?
No, it's no longer a team achievement.
Right.
It's all on an individual, whether it's the goalie or the kicker, the scorer.
Right.
It becomes one-on-one, and that's not what team sports are.
So
So I
it's-
don't
it's-
like it at all.
It's interesting to me because, like, I feel like when you're on a field and you see actual soccer goals,
They're huge. They look huge.
right? But then you, like, man, I think about in the moment, and you put probably a 6'4" goalie in there, or something like that, who can jump like crazy. These guys are the best in the world. And all of a sudden, that goal gets pretty small. I feel like, it's just.
The 19-yard line.
I still think it looks huge, and I think it favors the kickers, the
absolutely,
offense.
absolutely. But man, it's just I hate seeing it end that way. You know what I mean? Like,
This deficit can be easily overcome.
I honestly have less of a problem with it,
They don't get something going on this
like
season.
earlier in the tournaments. Because you got to get winners and you got to have somebody advance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The 29-yard line.
But like in the final, like I'd rather see them so they play 2 15-minute overtimes, and it's not sudden victory. And then
He's to the 40. He makes his
And
way
then
to
from
about
there,
48.
I would rather them go to just, next goal wins
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I want golden goal. I want
Yeah.
sudden victory. I don't like penalty. I don't think any major tournament should
No.
be decided in one-on-one stuff.
Right.
I don't. It goes against. It's the antithesis
so here
of team
you go.
sports.
And I don't even know if you, remember this, and I just saw it, recently, but it would be really cool if the penalty kick was more like what it was in the MLS when it first started. And that is, the guy gets the ball at midfield, and so the goalie can come out and try and. It's more like hockey. The goalie can come out and try and shoot down the angle kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I know they don't do as much anymore. But I feel remember way back in the day,
Yeah, they used to come out.
Dominic Hasek,
Charge.
Wah, and stuff would just come way out.
From the 50, it's second down.
So anyway, I just think that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anything would be better than the way they do it. Italy won, right? Italy beat
Italy
England.
won, yes. Yeah, Italy won, and it was crazy. Friend of the show, Joe, was really
I was
excited.
Joe Becerra.
Yeah,
See, I wonder why.
yeah.
So, I know that was delayed from last year. Everything got messed up because of COVID, but I'm excited for the Olympics to start.
Me too.
I think
I'm
it's
really
gonna be a lot
excited
of
for the
fun.
Olympics.
The men's soccer non-existent for Team USA, so hopefully the women's national team.
Right now. However, the team is as young and promising as they've been in like 30 years.
Haven't
so.
we been saying that for 30 years?
Dude, listen. I'm ready to be hurt again. The U.S. men's team.
Well, wasn't it years ago? And no, I don't think it was the World Cup. I think it was the Olympics. They finished like 4th or 5th or something like that, and people were like, "All right, here we go."
Yeah.
And yeah. It
So
didn't
like,
happen.
not the last World Cup, but maybe the one before. I think was the one where there's been a bunch where like it's been like, oh, here we go, and it hasn't been. But I'm telling you, here we go.
But
Christian Pulisic, golden boy from Hershey.
Men's and women's basketball, all the swimming, track and field. Kelly loves the Summer Olympics.
Oh, I do too. Summer
But
Olympics.
I'm all about winter. Like, winter is my.
I like. Let's give me the Summer Olympics.
You can leave. You don't take her side.
I'm not taking her side. I'm taking the right side.
No.
We both happen to be on that right side.
Incorrect.
The 10 got it to the senior.
So
Okay,
it sucked
I'm
missing
worried.
the Summer Olympics last summer, but now we literally have a 6.5 month turnaround to the Winter Olympics.
Yes.
Instead of 18 months,
Yeah.
it's 6.5.
It's like how
months.
it used to be way back in the day.
When it was always every 2 years. Well, it's all every 2 years now.
Well, yeah.
4 years in between the seasonal games sucks at times, but nothing will top 2000. I feel like 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics was peak Olympic season for us. Kelly
Should
and
I
I
take
watched
time out
everything.
here to save the time, or I don't know that
No,
they're
I'd
running
rather
it down.
save them if
Okay.
I need them.
That was my thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Because they're going to... Oh, no. I was going to say they're going to kick a field goal, but they're probably going to go for it, huh? I would think. But, yeah, I love the Olympics. Summer, winter, it doesn't matter. Oh,
No!
that's actually probably better. Because if they score on 4th down and eat up another, 40 seconds...
Right.
So... Do you think they're going to let the NHL players in the Winter Olympics? I thought it was going to happen, and then I saw Bettman was like, I don't know.
I doubt it. I bet they'll. I don't think they will.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Although I do like the amateur factor of, beating maybe some that are more professionals in other countries versus the U.S., the young guns, but I just want the United States to beat Canada. That's all I want.
No, I understand. Yeah, I'm
So-
excited about the Olympics. All right, here's another thing I'm excited about. And maybe I shouldn't be, but the Phillies, man.
Right?
Battling, I think they've won 7 out of the last 10.
7-3 in their last 10.
And they beat the Padres in a series and the Red Sox in a series. And the Red Sox today, that win today, was with a bullpen pieced together game because Nola was out. COVID protocols,
Just under 2
back to 500. It's just, man, their schedule on paper is significantly easier the second half of the season than it was the first half of the season. I'm not saying they're gonna win it, but the Mets or Nationals
Possibilities.
haven't run away with it. And Acuna got hurt, which you hate to see, but that's a big blow for the Braves. It's just there's opportunities there for the Phillies, you
Right.
know, and that's what I want to see. I don't think it's out of the question that they play above 500 in this quote-unquote second half of the season. I know it's not exactly half, but they play
Yeah, they're
above
44 and
500 in the
44.
second half, then they're above 500 for the year. And that, I
Right.
think if they can get close to that 88 wins, which would be a really good second half. I say really good, not like historically good, but a good second half for what the Phillies are. I think they've got a shot at a wild card spot.
So they're how many games they have left? They have
So if they're
74.
yes,
Is that right?
Or
Good tackle there.
yes,
74 games
Yeah,
left,
74.
and they would need to go
That was the sophomore
41
linebacker
and
who
33.
and make that tackle.
Yeah, that's not out of question. I don't feel like. Look
I
how many
don't-
games. No, well, so this point could be a.
20-yard line.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to do it, but it could also be a. There's games to be won. Like, look how many games they've blown. Like,
Inside the 10.
His offense coordinator right now is very happy with the execution. That's the 5th first down on this drive alone. The big thing is when you have this kind of drive going, you don't want to end it in a field goal. Now you want to focus on trying to put the football
heard
in
me,
the
Joe.
end zone.
That's right.
Gets to about the 5-yard line. Florida Atlantic just took their first time out. The back gets 3 on the carry.
That's a nice play there by the sophomore out in the corner.
This is
He
a
read the
touchdown.
line and stepped up and made a nice tackle.
I shouldn't have taken the timeout. Should have rounded all the way down.
Second down.
that is okay.
Touchdown, and they take the lead. The Owls are so confident every time they hand this kid the football that he's going to do something special.
Well, there's a reason he's the go-to man, and here with everything at stake, he's able to deliver for them.
17 seconds, Justin.
It's the PAT.
Onside kick, right? Onside kick here?
Nothing deep. Yeah, onside kick. Go ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just squib it here.
So my dad said, how about we talk about Penn State football?
Okay.
So they had an incredible week last week. What was it, like 5 or 6 verbal commitments for the class of
4
2022?
days or something like that.
Yeah, huge gets, including probably none bigger, at least to us here in the Reading, PA area, than Governor Mifflin running back Nick Singleton, who is a top 100 prospect, number 6 running back in the nation, committing to Penn State over the likes of Alabama and Notre Dame. Those are the 2 big ones still in it towards the end. Oh, I thought you had it.
I thought I did too.
So much on the coverage and looking.
So he was the big get, but they got a bunch of others all across the board, offense and defense, and they're sitting pretty at the number 3 overall class with, I believe they're at like 18 recruits. So they don't have a lot of spots left open, but there's another.
Somebody said that, like, based on a lot of different information, that they could take as many as 25 in that class.
Well, I know. I was thinking it would be more like 22, but they
That's
could go
good
up
to
to 25.
But I think
see,
because last year's class was not big,
no, and the COVID relief throws issues in there with the extra, like the scholarships don't count, right?
there are waivers and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So keep them in bounds. Yes.
At the 48.
Last play coming up. Here we go. So Penn State's future looks bright. I'm still up in the air on what I think is going to happen this year.
It's second down. and
That noon game
to the
at Wisconsin to start the season is just rough. That's just the big noon kickoff on Fox to kick off the season September 4th. That just looks really tough. Nice. There we go. Take it back. All right, go down. Oh my gosh. Nice. Salt in the wound, baby. Salt in the wound. Or like that one you sent me. Imagine if they did that trying to run up the score and you did that. Imagine how we'd be freaking out as you're running into that pack of people and you split around. Just kick the extra
I was
point.
gonna say I'm just gonna kick this one. So listen, this was not a strong defensive game, but for me, it was not a strong defensive game, but came through in the clutch.
Yes, that you did. Took care of it, and I think 2 teams that are in front of us, besides us beating a team in front of us, 2 teams in front of us or near us were playing, so one of them has to lose. So maybe we'll hit 15. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think we have some recruiting to do first, but so Penn State's opening at Wisconsin. That's tough for me. I still think I'm riding the 8-4 or 9-3, as I think we've talked about, possibly on air, but if not, definitely off air. I want them to reach double digits before they even get to a bowl game. But
the tough thing for me is that first game is a complete complete like expectation changer. Like if they lose, then
Like
I'm
last
probably
year?
like, oh, 9-3 maybe. You know what I mean? If they win that game at Wisconsin, you're gonna have a hard time talking me back down from like Ohio State being the only game that they shouldn't win.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So, and not that it'll play out that way, but like, if they were to win at Wisconsin, like it would
Right.
be hard.
Right.
to
Expectations
convince me they're not.
changed.
Right. I'd be like, they should win out here. You know, they should. But so.
So the Xbox message from Jason was just "Go Justin." That's what he wanted to say.
All right.
So yes, go Justin. Thanks for watching, Jason and my dad, and hopefully my uncle listens at some point. And all of you, all the others out there, we got a new subscriber on Twitch, and also I know Jamie was watching tonight. Jamie Sands, not
Right.
wife Jamie. We got a coach upgrade
We did get
available.
a
We got
coach
to do some
upgrade, yes.
recruiting. So we'll be back for games 9 and 10 next week, and we'll also be talking about the AFC East on episode 339. We're getting to the thick of it. We're about to wrap up this season of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show because we got Bulldog Hour right around the corner as the Pennsylvania high school football season gets closer and closer every day. And we'll be back then in November-ish with Joe Mays and J-Raff show to talk about the ongoing NFL season. We'll get caught up with how our previews are faring as the teams will be in the thick of it, but we'll be in like week 11, 12 at that point. But we have AFC East to do next week, and then the week after.
That's an interesting division.
Maybe remotely, Justin will join us in 2 weeks for a look at the playoffs and Super Bowl. So that'll be our last show, 340, in 2 weeks' time. Because then the week after that I won't be around, and then we'll be Bulldog Hour. So Justin and I need to wrap up year 2 of our dynasty here, and we're off to a great start, 7-1 after 2 victories tonight, including over number 20 Louisiana Tech, 35-24 here in the second game tonight, and we've got 2 more games coming next week, and then we'll be very close to knowing if we're going to go to a nice bowl game.
Yeah.
Man, if we can get into the top 10, there'll be some crazy stuff happening at the end of the year. There's a lot of rivalries and
Right.
championship games going on. We could crack the top 10 if we keep winning.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Anything to say, Justin, on you? Any shout-outs? Anything you want to mention?
No.
No. Happy belated anniversary to my wife. It was actually a week ago, but we got to celebrate all week on vacation down at the beach with family. It was great. We had an awesome time. And I know we missed some birthdays while we were away, so happy belated birthdays to a bunch of people, including my sister-in-law Amy yesterday, and actually tomorrow is my mother-in-law's birthday. So happy birthday to the family and all the friends that we missed. And we're happy that all of you joined us here this evening, and we hope you'll be back in 2 weeks' time for episode 339 as we look at the AFC East and continue playing NCAA Football 14. Coach Joey Raffauf going for wins 8 and maybe 9. So we'll see what happens. But for Justin, I'm Joe Mays. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.